Hey y'all, what's happening? I'm back. And I'm coming with the month of February for some Black History Month movie review. A little bit of blues from 1990, starring our main man, Mr. Denzel Washington, Mr. Spike Lee himself, and Nino Brown himself, Mr. Wesley Snipes. Boy, oh boy, oh boy. Here's the one thing about Mo Better Blues. That film was released in 1990. I am 43 years old now, so that would have made me, what, probably 9, I think, when this film came out. So obviously, I had older siblings, and my older sister, who actually was the one who got me hip to all the Spike Lee movies. So I was introduced to Spike very early on. The biggest thing about Mo Better Blues that I have found is what a lovely adult romantic picture this is. And I think there's a reason that I have not seen this film when it came out, because quite frankly, this film was way too adult for a 9-year-old child. And I'm happy that I rediscovered it. It's one of the, out of Spike Lee's earlier pictures that I've never seen. And I thought it was an excellent picture. This movie is a prime example. I'm not going to go through this whole story. But either way, Denzel Washington is a jazz musician who plays in this nightclub. He has his trio of band members. He's going head up with one who wants to take the spotlight, which is played by Wesley Snipes. And it kind of goes through all the trials and tribulations that he goes through with his band members, his music that he oh so much cherishes, but also it intertwines with his love life and how he's juggling these two women between which one he wants to be with. Does he want to live kind of this selfish life of being so centered on his music that he's basically neglecting two women who have feelings for him? You know what I mean? One which is more of a very deep, kind of more emotional connection. And then you have his relationship with Miss Cynda Williams. Excuse me, his other woman in his relationship is played by, Spike Lee's sister, Joey Lee, I think it's how you say her name. Excuse me if I'm wrong. I can go back and correct it. But either way, you know, Miss Lee being the least aggressive of the two, if I put it that way, and Miss Cynda Williams, which I believe this is her introduction. This was, I believe, 2 years or a year before she did One False Move, directed by Carl Franklin, starring Bill Paxton, Billy Bob Thornton, and Michael Beach. But she does a very good introduction here. But let me hold on. First of all, we know this is Spike Lee joint, but I got the name off the cast, y'all, from this. This is an acting extravaganza orgasm. Yes, I use that word. Okay, let's name Denzel Washington, Spike Lee, Wesley Snipes, Joey Lee, Cynda Williams, Giancarlo Esposito, Bill Nunn, Robin Harris, Samuel L. Jackson, Charlie Murphy, Ruben, Don't Cross the Ones We Love, Blades, John Turturro, his brother, why am I forgetting his brother's name? The Turturro brothers pop up in it. There is a plethora of folks that I have not named, so excuse me y'all, I'm not trying to be disrespectful. There is a whole lot more talent of character actors that have been in all the Spike Lee joints, all on display here. The music is also done by the Branford Marsalis Quartet, and also the soundtrack album, which is excellent. It actually won 1990 awards. It was nominated for a Soul Train Music Award in 1991. But this movie is just fantastic. I just love it across the board. I think it really shows sometimes in how, and I'm going to go particularly with black men, especially around this time period, is how, you know, because opportunities for black folks were so rough back in the days of segregation and Jim Crow and all those things like that, you found that a lot of black families said, work hard, work hard, work hard. So whether it be education, or in this case, he has this musical talent, and it's like work hard, study, 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 so much that he's neglecting other parts of his life. And I think sometimes that does happen. I do believe that sometimes, you know, in particular, I think with young black males, that sometimes we can be pushed so hard to not fall into the traps, work, that sometimes I think we get so regimented that we forget about things like human feeling, love, connection with another person. And I think that's I'm guessing that is kind of what has happened with Denzel Washington's character in this film, that it has been so ingrained in him to work, study at this, that it's the only thing he learned to love. There's hints in the picture that maybe the human part of the connection may not quite be there exactly with the parents. Not saying anybody's bad, but just saying those are rough times. And you can clearly see throughout the movie, he really does not know. He knows he loves this craft of this music. He knows he loves the stage. He treats the music like it is his woman, but he really doesn't have an understanding of real mature adult emotion. Charlie Murphy shows up here, and first of all, I remember when I was a kid, and we watched Harlem Nights. Well, we had no business watching it, but we did. And I remember during the Della Reese fight scene, we would see Charlie Murphy. We'd be like, who is that dude? It wasn't until CB4, y'all brothers remember, who was 10 or 11 or 12 when CB4 came out. You remember how when we saw CB4, we was like, that's Eddie Murphy's brother, because we knew from the credits. But this was before everybody knew who Charlie Murphy was. I gotta name a notable crack he says towards Spike Lee in the movie, which is, you're so skinny, you got no ass, and you're just two legs walking on your shoulders. We have a scene where the late great Robin Harris cracks on Denzel, Wesley, Giancarlo Esposito, Bill Nunn, all in the same shot at the same time. Robin Harris says to Denzel Washington, "Look at you, your head look like an apostrophe." Y'all, come on. Old school Def Comedy Jam, just them old school. I mean, y'all, to see Denzel Washington versus Wesley Snipes, that is not a moment we'll ever see on screen again, and we know we won't. But to have it solidified in this film against Robin Harris cracking on all of them at one time, listen, I literally was laughing so hard, I'm almost guaranteed my neighbors could probably hear it through the walls. I mean, I had such a good time with this movie. I also want to go into the fact that Ernest Dickerson photographed this movie. So he's the director of Demon Knight, of course, Juice, some other pictures that for some reason my mind has gone blank and I cannot pull it right off the top of my head. But I mean, you've already got the talent right there. To have a man be intimate with his woman and call her by another name, maybe I might, maybe or may not have been there before. The music in this is just so beautiful, and I love the fact that a lot of the movie and the feeling of it is driven by the jazz that happens in the movie, and it's just so relaxing, and the jazz music just speaks to your soul. It's so well done. And also the other thing is that I like how, when Denzel has finally hit ends meet and he has to go back and beg, the moment where Denzel begs to get back Joey Lee, that is the most authentic beg that a pitiful man has ever done on screen that I think I have ever seen. And quite frankly, I maybe may or may not have been there before y'all, but it everything from it, from the smacking to the don't touch me to the try to kiss, she turns her head, it's all real, y'all. It's all real, and I bet you a few of us out there didn't been there before. This is clearly a man who has not grown up in that part of his life yet. And I think that's very authentic, that there are some men who can really get that far along in age. You can get to your 30s, sometimes your 40s, and you might just have that piece of you missing. You might be able to work your butt off and pay the bills. You may not be able to connect with a lady. It's very true to life, I think. This is just an utterly fantastic I love this film. I love this film. I went back and looked at Siskel and Ebert's retro review of it. I actually looked at it after I watched the film because I didn't want it to take my review. I disagree with their review, but then again, that's a 34-years old review, or whatever it is, and they're both long gone. But I will say I disagree. I don't think this movie is flawed at all to me. This is an intimate adult picture of a man who has not grown up, or at least learned how to love an actual person yet. He loves his instrument and he loves his hobby and what he has to do, but he hasn't quite learned how to love an actual person, you know, the women in his life. And this basically is his journey of learning how to treat someone you love. You know, you really care about somebody, this is a certain way you will treat them. You know, you will value them. You won't forget their name or you know, or whatever, and run around with two at one time. So it's a mature, heavy picture for the adults only, but I love it. I think it's fantastic, and I'm very happy that I discovered this movie as an adult man who's experienced life versus a child, which is what I was when the film was released. So if you don't like the question I just asked, this channel ain't for you, man. Go ahead and watch The Bridges of Madison County. Pew, pew.